Yisbarach Yom Sheni from Erev Yom HaKippurim Tavshin Ayin Hey. We're now holding in the middle of the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the second of the intermediary, actually the third of the intermediary days between Rosh Hashanah and Kippurim. And a person is now considering making Kabbalahs and for the coming year, and a person needs to know how to approach it. As we told you over from Tosfos, the Legoyen, Chaim of Volozhiner, and others, that the Iker Din on Rosh Hashanah is on Olam Haba. Not to say that it's not on Olam Haza also, but it's on Olam Haba. And the Beinani is the one that's given a chance till Yom HaKippurim to see if he can be Zoicha to become a Ben Olam Haba. Now, if that's the case, it means a Shaykh. Now, the first step in becoming a Ben Olam Haba is to understand, first and foremost, that the whole purpose that we're in this world is only for Olam Haba. As Zayd used to always say over from the Chavis Halvavis, that the Yetzer Hara constantly pushes a person to be distracted and not to think about Olam Haba. Now, what is Olam Haba? Olam Haba is a place where a person is nene miziv shchinasa yizbarach. He feels the kurva, the closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that shaykhis is the ultimate goal for a person. Now you have to understand that this fight is such a fight, it's unbelievable. I mentioned to some of you that there was a letter that I read recently from a Rosh Kollel, who be'emes was somebody who grew up in a Varma Hasidish family, Hamish background, and then he grew up and he steigdois, became a big masmid. He writes that he's able to learn an entire day without a hefsek and enjoys it. He finished Shas kama v'kama pamim. He authored a number of chiburim, of works. And he was crying out to somebody in a letter that in spite of all that and my success, I give Shiurim, I'm involved, I'm completely dead inside. To the point that I already skip some mitzvahs, and if I would be able to, I would choose not to do any mitzvahs. But he was reaching out for help, because he always heard that Hama'or Sheba Machzir L'Mutav. He knows all the Gemaras, he knows the Chazals, And Lamaisi feels disconnected. He said the attitude came to him after he got married. He became associated with people that he'll call strict halacha Yidden. There were Yidden that kept strictly to the halacha. And things that weren't halacha, they ignored. And they made him ashpa on him. And he attributes his kalkeit, his krirus, to that phenomenon. Last week, I got a call from a member of a mishpacha chasuveh, ma'oit, in Yerushalayim, where the father is an epitome of a ben toiva or ben Torah. You've never seen that. When everybody dreams of a guy living and learning, lebedik and learning, koching and learning, that's his father. His father's in halacha, he's in limud, he's in asmoda. And every one of the kids, briskers, Yerushalayimels, Miretno Yiddish, from like the Dickens, Allah Chumris, serious Hamidecham, also involved. And a 30-year-old son one day came home to his wife with a board, Yishalmi Peyes, with a long kaftan, Shtreimel, Shabbos, and during the week he wears a Shalma hat, and he told his wife, Rebbetzin, it's kinderlich, I discovered there's another world out there. And that world is a lot more fun than our world. Dorten, he said in Yiddish, Dorten kemen ton vos me will. Over there you can do what you want, how you want, when you want. First wife didn't take him serious, but he said to her, you should know, I'm ready, don't keep mitzvahs anymore. But I've been doing in the house is putting on a show, but I'm not putting a show anymore. And she said she wasn't going with him. He left the family. He became a completely fried, gamri, mikoil v'koil. He had a whole organization called Chayzer B'She'ela. And people go back to the question, period. Went off to Derech, Nebuch. And then his wife decided she was going to share the kids, going to be nice to him. He said, I'll take care of them. The kids came to him, he cut off their payers. He put them in a public school. His kid doesn't know how to read one word of Hebrew. They don't know Yiddish. They can't speak Hebrew. It's like mamish, it's gefällig. Now the family is trying to fight to get the kids back. But this is a phenomenon you should know that of late has become tremendous. It's becoming widespread in America, and it's becoming widespread relatively, not yechidim, it's not just 1-2 people, it's happening in larger numbers. And we have to understand why it happens and how it happens and how you could know if you're at risk or if your children will be at risk or if your friends will be at risk. Now the nakuda of the answer is, one answer. These people, all of them. Just last summer, I got a call that I would get involved in a case in Toronto where a younger man who learned Derech Yisroel for many years, and he became a licensed dayan, full smicha, but a serious dayan, not a dayan like, to become a pulpit rabbi. A dayan to be on a bezdin, serious dayan, big masmid. Came home, came back to Toronto, he told his wife, you know what, I don't think I'm going into dayanus. I'm going to go to school, become a lawyer. He went to school, next thing you knew, he was becoming fry. And we had a Talmud in Toronto whose friends went to the same class, Cheder, as that kid did. And when he went on Shabbos, he came over and said, Tati, you know, when I went to that house, Yossi's Tati told him, you can't play with the iPod on Shabbos when Moshe, your friend, is here. He said, otherwise you could. That came Shabbos. First the wife wouldn't go along, and the wife went along. We know of a local mice like that. Former fellow learned here. Now he became, his brother was the head of the movement in America, and now he joined his brother now, and they're the head of the movement to help people go off the Derech. This is people who went to very frum schools. Well, you always have to know what to attribute it to, but you have to know where is the tikkun lie and how you can tell if this is happening. The way it happens is that a person has not developed any relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world in preparation for the next world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he lives in this world, he learns Torah, he does mitzvahs, does a lot of things. He may go to the mikveh every day, he may be a big masmid, he may really enjoy learning. It's not necessarily because he's burnt out of Torah. No. All it is. But what happens is the haschol of where it begins, the person has no shaykhs to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I can go up in a very frum home. When it comes to Hashem, the feeling is they went through very strict upbringing, strictly reformed. So that's not a protection. But if you have no shaykhis and no kirva and no relationship to Hashem, you are at risk ma'oit. If you're a person who has never spoken with Hashem, there are many people who will tell you in honest moments, I've never once spoken to Hashem. Didn't you daven, you say? Never spoke to Hashem. As a matter of fact, they were put off when people mentioned about a relationship with Hashem. Sometime it was through late Sonis that they made fun of these people as emotionalists. And a lot of times they are wackos, because you see the people who a lot of times people who say they have shaykhs to Hashem don't do one thing that Hashem wants. So it's very hard to have, that's what that means. The shaykhs that they have is to an imaginary Hashem. Because a person grows big payas and he dances in the street, or he smokes pot and gets high, that guy's going to pot. That's what he's worshiping. The Shem that he's worshiping is the Hashem of pot. So he doesn't know anything else, he calls it Hashem. And then he went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting or drug meeting and told him, you always have to believe in a higher power. And the guy said, oh, do I believe in a higher power? I believe in the highest power more. Pass a joint. So that's what we're talking about. It has to start with Kiyum HaMitzvahs. I'm talking about people who makayim mitzvahs of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who daven when they're supposed to daven, who keep mitzvahs, who live normal lives. Not people live imaginary lives. I'm talking about very normal, mostly healthy people. But inside, something is happening. And what's happening is they're not developing any kesher relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Yetzer Hara got them in that area. So if you can get a person not to do mitzvahs, you will shortly not have a shaykhus to Hashem. But when a person does mitzvahs and he is seriously frum, you will, having no kesher with Hashem, will definitely bring your end, bring your demise very close. But that's why people walking around, like the pasuk says, "Befiv ubesvasav kibduni But v'libam rochak mimeni, their hearts are very distant from me. The Navi already bemoaned this fate of toifsei ha-Torah, that lo yidauni, people who toifsei ha-Torah, they're upholders of the Torah, serious learners of the Torah, but they have lo yidauni, they don't know me. That means when we say lo yidauni, they know of Hashem, they have no das. Lo yidauni comes from the word das. Das means a kesher. Das means a chibur. So if you're that person, you're in great sakon. And if you're that person, you have to know you're going to have a burnout very soon. If not, if you have great joy in learning Torah, which is a rare occasion, but there are people like that. They talk about people in Europe, in some of the yeshivas, they used to smoke on Shabbos, but they would learn Reb Chaim or learn Gemara for hours. They really enjoyed learning Gemara. They were trained in that, they mastered it. Hey, that stupid they weren't, but they weren't Shachs Yiddishkeit. And that's why the Ma'or Sheba wasn't Achsadem Lamutav. Torah is a Sam HaChayim when a person views Torah as a means of having a kesher with Hashem. Now, how does one have a kesher with Hashem? First, by making Hashem a reality in your life. What does it mean, a reality? It means to talk about Hashem as if He's real. They say Hashem doesn't allow this, Hashem doesn't want me to do this. You tell it to your friend and he says, "Ah, come on." A lot of times you encounter tremendous, from Talmidei Chachamim, who can give gewaldige drushes. You'll encounter this, what do you bring up Hashem for? What is this? Your Breslov? That's what they think. What do you bring up Hashem for? They don't understand the importance of having a shaykhus to Hashem. Now, how does one get a shaykhus to Hashem? There are different methods. By learning Gemara alone, if you have no shaykhus, you won't get a kesher with Hashem. It's sad, but you won't get a kesher with Hashem. The way to get a kesher with Hashem is to relate. Relationships are something that happens inside a person, in his heart and in his mind. In order to relate to the dimension of Hashem, you have to connect to Hashem through your neshama. Through your chelek eloikamimal. How does a person turn his chelek eloikamimal on? One of the ways is Chasidus. I once had a Talmud who was a brilliant fellow, truly brilliant. He had the ability to sit and learn an entire day. And he did it for years, in other places and here. And then one day he tells me, "You know how sick I am?" I said, "Sick? In what way?" He says, "Emotion. Yiddishkeit to me is a farce. All Rabbanim are fakers. All from a Yidden," he said. "Everybody in yeshiva is mamish. What a joke, it's a crack." And the guy went on and on and on, and I said, "Wow. Baruch Dayan Hamas," I said, "You are dead." I said, "So now you got to come alive." So he said, "Could you make me alive?" I said, "Sure." But you have to understand how this guy's mind works. I can't hear Muslim. Don't give it a Muslim. The Muslim turns me off. I said, "Okay. What I think you need speaks to your soul is Hasidus." Now, he wasn't a Hasidish type of guy at all. He wasn't the Nessie type of guy. It wasn't his thing. He was a very, like a cold type of fellow. But he needed intellectual Hasidus. So what I did was, I went and studied by a master, Tanya. And I started learning with this fellow Tanya. And teaching it to him. It's a very tifa sefer, very lomdish sefer. And I started to feed him Tanya. And the fellow started to do the following. He was a big master, he had no time for this stuff. But Shabbos in his Suda, this is what he would do. He would eat his first course, and then bring up a discussion with his wife. And he had a koyach to think about things intensely, in a very rational, logical manner, argue them out. And every sad, very unique mind, one of a kind. And he would, for the next hour and a half, sit on his couch, maybe nibble on something, and either the wife took care of the kid, and he would handle his discussion, and he was into his chasidus. I can't explain to you. Then when he came to the next course, his students would take like 3-4 hours. But the guy, it was a tremendous. Now he didn't chap what I was doing to him, because if I would say to him, "You got to relate to Hashem," it's like cut that baloney out. Don't try to sell me. I'm not one of your other types of people there that you try to sell this baloney to. That's what he told me. And the fellow became so kosher. He became such about tefillah. He davened the longest Shemona Esrei. It was intense. Intense to the point where he was just, his mind was completely lacked on HaKadosh Baruch. And then, from there was a flourish. Now he asked me every cash in the world. You realize a person going around this world collects a lot of garbage. And your vacuum cleaner gets stuffed up the pipes. Every single pipe, it gets into the motor. And you can put a little chasidus in there, but it ain't gonna suck like it's supposed to. Keep on putting your hand at the bottom of the pipe, and you get this faint. He said, "Is it working? Is it working?" You're not sure. And it's, we had to get stuff out of the pipes. You had to get a hanger out, and you gotta stick the hanger in there, and you gotta do some serious surgery. But the fellow eventually became aware that when he was learning Torah, he was learning Torah with Hashem. To the point that he heard every word. It was a training. Trained himself to say, "I am now listening to the words of Hashem. I'm reading the Ratzon of Hashem." He doesn't look at scenes. He doesn't need any book. He was turned on. Then the Torah does it automatically. The Torah becomes the Samachai. The fellow, and for him, that's what he needed. There are some people who can do it through Musar. There's two types of Musar. There's the Chayvus Halvavos Musar, which the greatest of the greats were connected to Hashem through that type of Musar. It was a very dry, unemotional Musar. There's nothing Hislavus about it. Written in a very, originally in Arabic, translated by, not today, a great author, Shmuel ibn Timmon, into a very difficult, hard Hebrew. And it's something that is not able to read just in a sitting. You read paragraphs of it, it has to be studied, analyzed, thought about, and it's mamash shtik lomdus, what most people don't have more tension. Everybody's suffering from attention deficit disorder. When it comes to certain limudim, they don't know how to do that. So Achsam Sefer was able to do that. Many other greats, Maizeda, lived off the Chayvus Halvavos to the point that when he saw anything in the street, what he saw was Hashem. As Zayda told me, he trained himself that when he looked at another person, he didn't see the person. He saw Tzelem Elokim. He reminded us of excellent. This is Tzelem Elokim. Yankiv Tzelem Elokim. Shalom Tzelem Elokim. Shmuel Tzelem Elokim. When we look at people, we study them, look at their features, look at their nose, how's the nose shape, those that go up, those that go down, those that are wide, those that thin. We look at the eyes, big round eyes, and the thin eyes, they're wide apart. We study people's faces, we look at their lips, thin lips, wide lips, high cheekbones, low cheekbones, ears sticking out in the room, a small ear, big ears. You look at, that's how people look at each other. We study intently. If you want to get involved with something, you study a guy intently, you get mamish involved in his face, that's all. But to see a pnimius, it's called panim. Panim means in Lashon Kodesh, pnim. It's the window to a person's neshama. It's Mazeda trained himself that every time he saw a person, it was Hashem. He was with Hashem all day. If you ever met my great, he didn't look like that person. He didn't look like that person. He looked like a very cool cucumber. He didn't look like a chassid in any way. He wasn't the man that got near a mikveh. You couldn't push him in the mikveh if you tried. Wouldn't touch it. He didn't do anything that wasn't in the Gemara. But he got turned on to Hashem from the Gemara. Every Rashi, he would thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for giving him a Rashi, for putting a Rashi in this world, for him to be able to understand the Gemara. When he saw Taisvis, oh, was that a simcha? Oh, the kindness of Hashem. Rashi's plenty. Rashi's plenty. Hashem should think about me. I put a Rashi in the world just for me to learn Gemara. Really, the Hashem should have said, learn Gemara all day long. Make up shatim. Pat luck. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't get it. You understand? And just tell people the Fum Tzaira Agra. Hope once in a while you strike pay dirt, and sometimes you strike gold. No, that's part of life. You ever get people go fishing for gold? A lot of hard work, 99% disappointment, and 1% pick up gold nuggets. But not Kachmag's Rashi. He thought that was Hashem completely. That was his thing. So, that's another way. And then you have the third type of Musar. That was more the Kelma Musar, the Navardika Musar. That was the battering ram. That was where they pulled out the stops that told you, my friend, you're going to be toast. I'm telling you, your neshama, where you're going, it's going to be chayshech, it's going to be morar, it's going to be a bitter, it's going to be for you, you're going to regret it. Gehenim kol v'heimenim kolim, the fires of Gehenim will be going out, and you'll still be in Gehenim. And all of a sudden the guy thinks, oh, and the guy reads about the different levels of Gehenim. He learns about Malachi Chavola, learns about Mazikim, and then there's an offshoot of that. As you get to the next step, you learn like a little Kabbalistic about Mazikim, about Kafakela, about different, types of Oinchim that strengthens that. But the goal of all those things together, each Mahal is one. Not to inspire you, it's to get you connected with your neshama and to develop a relationship with Hashem. A guy who knows that if he doesn't have a shaykhus to Hashem, it's going to be toast. So that guy says, oh, I better start doing Rosh Hashem. I better get friendly with Hashem, get on his friendly side, because if I'm friends with this Hashem, I stand a chance. If I'm going to be on the wrong side of the fence, it's not going to. So you know what he does? He motivates him to have a shaykhus. That is what's called a ben olam haba. That's what a ben olam haba is supposed to say. Now, if you don't take off time and train yourself in one method, what's going to happen is chas v'chalila. One day you're going to wake up. It could be in 5 years. It could be in 10 years. And a lot of yeshiva, I do this. Today, it's a very big movement. See, a guy had that thought, but he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't do anything about it. Today, it's easy. What does the guy do? He goes on the internet, and the internet guides him to all the boiros that are full of nechashim v'akravim, snakes and scorpion pits. That's what the internet is famous for. And it takes you right down the toilet with one flush. Sometimes the internet brings a person to get those thoughts, because he goes on sites like this and he sees a written word written by one chayla bigger than another chayla, who's mamish espousing their garbage against Hashem and against Torah. Ki'ilu, the guy knows something, the guy doesn't know anything. And it's very sad. And that itself helps him become distant from Hashem. Sometimes the mahalach is that when the person gets involved in garbage, tumah, Tumah definitely creates a tremendous mechitza and a screen between you and Hashem, and it creates what's called the blood doesn't run, the spiritual blood doesn't run through the veins anymore. You start suffering hardening of the arteries and stuffed arteries. And the next thing you know, Hashem, Atimus Halev, you have no shaykhs to Hashem. The only thing that gives you a high is garbage. And that's why you have to be frightened from this. When this young man from Yerushalayim called me up about his brother, I said to him, Zokmir, did your brother have shaykhs today? Where did he find this? In the koil? He comes from a family where they're on fire. Yiddishkeit is fire. He said he got himself an iPhone. So he became a chacham kol adam with his iPhone. No. I don't know what was going on. What did he get the iPhone because he had no shaykhs to Hashem? He was looking for something, and the Yitzhar made him more vulnerable, or did he get the iPhone and that created the vulnerability because created through the tumah? But everything is such a simple dynamic. There's not one size fits all. Everybody has different mahalach, but the mahalach is always one, and that is you have no shaykhs and no kesher with Hashem. So even if you learn, you like to learn. If that learning you don't feel it's attaching you to Hashem, you're not a ben elam haba. You have no shaykhs to elam haba. In this world, we prepare for that kurva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's all. No one is created for his matzav in this world. You're created, as the Mesilas Yesharim tells us, for your matzav in the next world. So what behooves a person is, number one, to beware of the sakonis of those things that create mechitzas, especially the people that are usually drawn to those mechitzas are people who don't have such a stark connection to Hashem in the first place. But sometimes the Yitzhar sees a person who has a stark connection. You know what he says? That guy I like. He sees you as a great opportunity to bring you down. So what he does is, he introduces you to internet, and he says to you, you know what, you're able to become miskaber on yourself. You know how to do this. Like we once had a fellow came here from a different state. He was in charge. He was a shliach from a other gadol in internet. I said to him, how come you have one of these big phones? He said, I need it for my business. I said, I need it for my business too. He said, what business is that? I said, it's our business. I said, what business? What kind of business? What kind of heter? No, the Dalim said, I'm a heter. Now there was a Rav in Eretz Yisrael that made a fool of himself, Nebuch. Guy went up and made a thing about internet phones, iPhones. And he went around from city to city getting people to bring their internet phones together, and everybody there would make a pile and they would all go and smash the phones. Smash your phone day, Laman Hashem. Then a guy catches him in his car with this big huge phone in his hand. An iPhone, took a picture, and it went viral. Mazel tov, you understand? I tell you a lot. That's how it is. No, of course, the Yitzhar was smart, the Yitzhar knew. I'm sure the Yitzhar told him, you're Rav. You have a car for everybody. If you don't understand everything about phones, and you have to know the Yitzhar better than anybody else. So you're studying the Yitzhar, it's Hirasha. You have to know all the Yitzhars that are out there, otherwise you'll be a temple. You'll be one of these guys, you want to be a sharfa mensch. You want to be a guy at the top of your game. So you have to know what the Yitzhar is. So just look for it to know how to fight the Yitzhar. So you check this Yitzhar out, that Yitzhar, there's different type, harbe minim, you understand? Kol mini kihinim sholtim boy. And check all the mini gehenim out there, you say, wow. The next thing, Hashem arranges a guy should come in the window, a guy should come and catch him. It's like Kulim Hashem. Catch him on his phone in his car after finishing one of these sessions of smashing the iPhones. He'll be took that from his pocket. I don't know. But that's how it is. As I mentioned, person has to understand no one is free of this Yitzhar. And the Yitzhar is subtle, and it's not a clear Aveda. It's not a clear Aveda. Because people will say, it's not my type, I wasn't brought up with it. It's not Hasidish. See, Hasidim a lot of times like it, and it keeps people in the Hasidus, but it becomes childish. Because it's little, when you're younger, they give you his slavas. It's not intellectual. It's a childish thing. Or like childish musar. There's such thing as childish musar. It's not really, never matures into, develops into something you can take with you into your mature life. So your body matures, and you try to hang on to that immature, childish, idol-like thing, and now you say, I'm not going to buy that now. It's true. You can't buy that now because now you're a mature adult. You have to now take it to the next step and get into it in a deeper eifin, more intellectual, more understanding, and you develop a real relationship. Everybody knows when you're a little kid, he was friendly with somebody, he thought this was going to be his friend for life. Then a few years later, he realized the guy was an idiot. You know what I mean? The guy's going nowhere in life. What kind of shaykhs to have with him? When you were both idiots, so you have to have good shaykhs to the guy. But now that you grew up, not the same thing anymore. So Rabbi said, our job in this world, this is what you have to do. When we tell you to learn Musar, it's not to learn Musar. It's not to whack yourself. We tell you to learn something, it has to be something that's going to develop a relationship. Going to the mikveh doesn't necessarily develop a relationship. You spend 10 minutes, or the 15 minutes that it takes. Because many people think that's their avodah that's going to get them to Hashem. It's not. If you spend 10 minutes with a sefer, actually thinking about Hashem, that would change your life and Olam Haba. Think about Olam Haba. That's how you become a Ben Olam Haba. You tell yourself, Olam Haba is the best desire. Olam Haba is the purpose that I came to this world for. So I have to get myself into Olam Haba. How am I going to get to Olam Haba? By doing mitzvahs in this world. Staying away from Averis. But I have to make sure that my mitzvahs are gaining me Olam Haba. I have to make sure my Torah is gaining me Olam Haba. Now there's no better way than Torah. Torah is the most powerful way. That's how you have people who make other type of people make mistakes. They're always working on the how-to. These are people who are always going to college. They buy every book in the library, building sukkahs for dummies, building houses for dummies, building computers for dummies, building your life for dummies. They have every dummy book in the world. They have books that tells you how to build everything and do everything. You know what happens? They never finish any one book. They get bored halfway through, they start the next one. So they're always learning, never going for the goal. So you have people who are always learning this Musar and the Chasidus, or playing these games, but they never get close to Hashem. They think they are. But they're not doing what Hashem wants. So you can't have relations. It's like a guy says to you all day long, I want to be your friend. 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 Let me tell you what I do. So what do you want from me? I want to hang out with you. You want to hang out with me? Great. Let me tell you what I do. This is my business. You want to assist my business? Sure. But then you find out all the guy wants to do is hang out with you and be a nudge. He wants to all day tell you, I love to hang out with you. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to accomplish something. You want to work with me? Fine. Hashem says, Balabai is doichik. What does Balabai is doichik mean? As I state in the Mishnah, it's Balabai is doichik. You know what the Welt learns? That Hashem is pushing people. No. You know what Rabbi Brog says it means? Rabbi Brog says Balabai is doichik means Hashem has an agenda. Hashem is running this world with a very clear agenda with a goal. You're either with him or you're not with him. His goal is going to be accomplished. You want to help him with his goal? Join the boat. You're an El Haba man. You want to hamper Hashem? Hashem's going around you. Hashem not stopping for you. He's not pushing you. The Derech is Hashem's under a dechak. He's under a pressure, Hashem, to bring the world to its fruition. For him to reach his goals that he has for the world. It's not, he has no goals other than for you to do goals. Hashem is running this world. He's the CEO. And he's making this world happen the way it's supposed to happen. That's why a lot of times you talk to somebody who's already off the derech, it's very hard for you. Because It's not a matter of vikuach with them. It's ta'anuchitim oilam yisrael. You tell a fellow, you realize what the ikar is? To have a relationship with Hashem. You realize you have an neshama soul. Why did Hashem, according to your philosophy, you should have been down? Maybe the next time at home you'll be zeichen. You'll be born a Rottweiler. Maybe you'll be born a German Shepherd. Maybe you'll be born a mutt. You understand? You'll have some Schwarzer using you to fight other dogs. That's what you want to do. You want to live a dog's life, you become a dog. You have to think about this. What do you want to be? So it's hard to get through to them. Because the premise is, I'm here to relate to Hashem. And you say, he's not my friend. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not buying into that. And especially you got one that knows something. Oh, that's terrible. That is heartbreaking. When you get somebody who knows and he tries to argue with him, gives you Gemara, Sahin, and a hair, and he tries to sound London shit, then terrible. This is what a person has to understand. That this is what our avoid is in the next few days. When I tell you, when Chaim Losh tells us, the Mishnah says, Yiras Chetoi Koidemes L'Chachmosei, means when you learn Torah, say, Hashem, I have Chatoim. And those Chatoim impede my relationship with you. So I'm going to learn Torah to minimize, to demolish, to nuke my Chatoim. Oh, you want to do that? Hashem says, let me help you. That's a bowl of Torah, Messiah, they said. Then you have a person who learns Chachmas Torah, he doesn't give me your Chet. He's not afraid of his Aver, but Shach Aver is a Torah. Torah is one thing, and Aver is another thing. Oh no, that's not this. So Rabbi said, go now and earn some Elam Haba. Go learn Torah with the idea Hashem, and remind yourself a few times when you learn it. Tell yourself you want to talk to Hashem. But of course, like Masay used to say, if you come to davening on time, or you come to davening late, you are not talking to Hashem in the least bit. You wouldn't talk to a human being like that. Because then said if you had an appointment with a chasuveh officer, a chasuveh person, you wouldn't come 5 minutes late. Not especially if you knew it was a very important time of the year. You wouldn't. Unless you didn't care about it. You didn't care about it. You didn't see this opportunity, it meant nothing to you. You come late, you come this, you don't daven, you're not trying to daven, you're not trying to think about davening. Think about Hashem. Abaisi, you must develop this relationship. Best way, through Torah. But Torah alone will help you. You're going to have to give it some thought before davening. Whatever you say you're going to learn, whatever type of mahala you're going to take, you got to have this. And Hashem has ways of bringing us to Him. Hashem brings stars on a person. That stars wakes us up. And Hashem says, come on, come to me. I'm the only one that can help you. That's what Hashem does. And the stars bring you back to Hashem. Some people don't care about it. They'll try their own mahalach to deal with their stars. Some people will come back to home. They'll come back home. The tati. They'll have a relationship with Hashem. They'll start a relationship with Hashem. And then you're going to make it.